Welcome. I'm Brenda Herchmer from Fourth Sector Works, which you might know as Campus for Communities of the Future. This transition to the new name, Fourth Sector Works, will become clearer as we progress. In the meantime, I'll be serving as your learning guide for amplifying strengths for collaborative leadership. So why are we starting with this particular module? Well, the reality is that leadership is an inside-out job. So we begin with you. We're also hoping that this is what's going to make it more interesting and more meaningful for you. So what is this course about? Well, by the time you complete this module, you'll be able to identify or increase your understanding of your own leadership strengths by exploring meaningful resources and tools. You'll be able to describe the competencies that are needed for future focused leaders, or what we're referring to them now as fourth sector leaders, and why that's so important. And thirdly, you'll be able to either develop or add to your own personal toolbox of resources that can help you assist others to see themselves as a leader. While these days our direction may seem unclear at times, the reality is that there has been work done to make the direction clearer for all of us. These Sustainable Development Goals, or global goals, are really a collection of 17 interlinked global goals that really have been designed to be a blueprint for achieving a better and more sustainable future for all. In many ways, these really should be every organization's, business, and government's. It should be their goals. So these were actually set in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly, and they're intended to be achieved by the year 2030. So you might be asking, so what does this have to do with my business or organization? But these really should be thought as everyone's priorities. And if you view them at the national, region, or local levels, there are challenges. They are challenging, and they're going to require working differently. So what does that mean for your organization or your business? Well, it means that we really need to reduce some things and ramp up on others. So we know that this relates to our systems in a lot of ways, that we need to do things like reducing our hierarchies and really flattening that hierarchy to place more of an emphasis on networks and teams. We can't count on people telling us what to do. The leadership role is much about being supportive and less predicting and planning, because things are not they're not going to be linear. So it's about more experimentation and adaptation, more trust in our colleagues and our citizens and all of our stakeholders. It may even mean getting away from job descriptions in a lot of cases because of this unpredictability. So it's much more about maximizing our respective talents. We need to ensure transparency, and centralized authority did work for the industrial era, but today it needs to be much more about shared decision making. So what we're seeing as being needed is a different kind of leadership. We have referred to it previously as future-focused leadership, but it's also what we're identifying as fourth sector leadership, which is really a different way of thinking about leaders, because we do understand that there are typically three sectors. There's the social or nonprofit sector, the business or the private sector, and the public or the government sector. And what's beginning to surface is an understanding that we're not taking away from the legitimacy and the importance of those three sectors, but to address and tackle this new world that's coming at us, as well as the complexity of what we're dealing with right now, what is needed is a fourth sector, and that's requires a different kind of leadership, but it's a blended sector that really takes the best of all three sectors, and that requires a different kind of competency. So what is it that makes these fourth sector leaders different? Well, this has taken a long time to develop, and it is the result of really working with many talented leaders across the country and now beyond to really look at what is needed, what others see as being needed in their leaders. And we've been able to pull this all together in 8 distinct competencies. And these this first module that we're dealing with really predominantly figures into the first 1.0, which is amplifying strengths. But you'll see these competencies threaded throughout the different modules. So we're looking at mobilizing cross-sectoral development. We're utilizing more strategic foresight. That was a piece that for me, I think I was missing for a lot of years. We were mobilizing people, but not sure we were always moving in the right direction. Without a doubt, we need to do more systems work. We need to go beyond system thinking to really think about how we fix these systems. We need leaders who can serve as a catalyst for change and mobilize collective action, who can facilitate citizen responsibility, who can prioritize development, because we've really seen that at the core, a lot of the issues are the result of an imbalance between community, environmental, and economic development. And a lot of times economic development has tipped the scale, sometimes not in the right direction. So we need more balance between those. And we're also seeing a need for more entrepreneurial approaches. So that's what we're seeing as being different and what's needed for future-focused or fourth sector leaders. And you know, when we apply these competencies, it really does ensure that we're supporting thinking differently about our leadership, about priorities, about our infrastructures, how we collaborate, how we can do more of that. What it makes us think about power and how that will have to be shifted. And the digitization is really important in this world that we're evolving into. So if we do that, then that's going to deliver a whole slew of really impactful outcomes. When we prioritize fourth sector work, all of these things will result. And we'll unpack more of these as we dive into the rest of the modules. So here's the first thing, and your first assignment, should you choose to accept it, and hopefully you will, is really thinking about yourself as a fourth sector leader and the assessment of your own competencies. So you're doing this it's being done in confidence. It's really to help you understand that you already have a lot of these strengths, but there might be some areas where you want to strengthen others. But this, because what's really clear is that you can't do this by yourself. And so you'll need to build a team, a cohort that collectively can deliver all of these competencies. And this is what's going to help us prepare for this fast-paced, interconnected, and complex world. So that's this really reflects those 8 competencies, but it also expands on them with specific indicators that really should hopefully give you pause for reflection. Additionally, you're going to dive into some other assessment tools, but that's the gist of Module 1, and more of the details in terms of the expectations will be included in other documentation. So there you go. That's the start. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk soon. Bye for now.